Welcome to the Screen Podcast, offering you insight and analysis of the global film business, brought to you by the teams from Screen International and ScreenDaily.com. I'm Wendy Mitchell. I'm a contributing editor at Screen, and I'm thrilled to be your host for the podcast. And in this episode, we're doing a German focus. As we record, I'm still at Filmfest Munich, which is very important for the German industry, which we'll maybe talk about. I just thought it was a good time to look at what's going on here. It's a big territory for film, obviously. And I actually did a panel with one of our guests here in Munich, and lots of talks going on here. So we have two experts with us today. We have Roman Paul from Razor Film. They started back in 2002.
Yes.
Wow. Roman. Wow. What a veteran.
Yeah, I read that recently before my name in Variety, and I was like,
Yeah, is that what
nice.
you want? Yeah. And he runs the company alongside Gerhard Meitzner. And first of all, apologies for any of my German accents. The company's credits include Waltz with Bashir, Wajda, Quo Vadis Aida, TV shows like The Nordic Murders. In Cannes, he had Minotaur. And here in Munich, he launched a new young German filmmaker film called Identity, which has got a lot of people talking. So we'll talk about that. But thanks for joining us, Roman.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Great. And then we have another great expert, Janine Jackowski, who co-founded Komplizen Film in 1999 when she and Maren Ade, the director we all know and love as well, were studying at the Munich Academy for Film and Television. So Janine, wow, what a start.
Yeah.
In 2010, Jonas Dornbach joined them as partner and producer, and they've added divisions and more people. And their recent credits include The Dreamed Adventure, Valesa Grisebox drama set in Bulgaria that won the jury prize in Cannes. And I actually talked to Jonas and Valeska here in Munich about that film. And the company won the Eurimage International Co-Production Award 2026, so they're known as great co-producers as well. And I think Janine is also on the board of the German Producers Alliance. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true.
Great. So yeah, there's been a lot of activity here in Munich. Like I spoke to Roman here. And I spoke to Jonas, as I mentioned. But it's funny, as we were about to record this, Roman has told me that Newsweek has a story saying it's the decline of Germany. But we'll find out. We'll see what's declining, what's not. And that's not just on the film side. But Roman, as we start, let's just start with a little bit of a sort of explainer about each of your companies. So Roman, can you tell us a little about Razor, how it's evolved, and what you think the company is all about?
Well, we started our company coming out of Senator Film, which was based here in Berlin. Gerard was running the production there. I was running international acquisitions. He had the national contacts. I had some international contacts. I then started to consult for Celluloid Dreams as an acquisitions person. And over the years, we built up our company. And our goal from the beginning was, when we left, we're going to produce films for the international art house and crossover audience. These films should have topics that are themes that are of geopolitical relevance. They should be aesthetically exciting. And all in all, we always loved art that defamiliarizes you with what you perceived and thought before you encounter the work of art. And we started very, very early on with our first production was actually Paradise Now by Hani Abu Assad.
Oh, I love that film. Yeah.
And yeah, we were restoring it right now. So to bring it back to audience, along with Waltz with Bashir, which is also in restoration. And we wanted to take people to places that were also new to us and discover these places for the audience and for ourselves through stories from filmmakers that cannot make their films in their regions, A,
Mm.
out of political reasons, B, out of financial reasons, C, out of infrastructural reasons, most of the times out of all three reasons. And we said from the beginning, we're going to work on eye level because wherever we go in the world, we are privileged to learn so much from the people that we encounter, that we work with. And this we have tried to keep up as our work, also in an ever-changing landscape of cinematic work. We started, I think, 12 years ago, a TV division. We're producing Usedom Krimi now. We have Polizeiruf Rostock, and that is quite successful in prime time. It's regional noirs. They're number one when they are broadcast, and this has been a very, very successful work that we would like to expand on. But also in streaming formats, we love to experiment. We just had The Flaws, a miniseries for ZDF that won Best Director in Lille, that won Syrian Camp here in Germany. And we want to expand in that area as well. So our experimental spirit, we try to keep it up and challenge audiences also with it.
Yeah, I think you are for sure. So, yeah, thank you for explaining because it is looking back across the credits, you see that these are sort of a lot of, films that might not have been made without your involvement. So, thank you for your good work, the service to the film industry. Janine, same with Komplizen. I would love to just hear about how the company has evolved. You've had a director at the heart of the company since it started, and has really grown, and you've also expanded into TV. So can you just tell us a little bit about Komplizen and where you're at now?
Yeah, sure. First, also thanks for having me. Yeah, so as you were saying, like Maren and I, we met each other during film school, actually. So, and actually, Maren started studying production. So basically, we met there. And it was during, I think, the first year of our studies that she asked me, I was wondering, if I should work as a director as well. And she asked me to produce her first short film. And but we continued to also produce other short films, other filmmakers. So Maren also has this production gene in her. Yeah, and after 2 years, she switched into the directing class, basically. And it was not really like a plan, from the beginning, that we would continue. It was really like Maren's graduation film, The Forest for the Trees, that actually just became so successful and had earned so much referency money, so which is to be spent on the next film, basically, that we were like, okay, now we have to continue, basically.
Yeah.
And, and in the beginning, I was working as a freelance producer for like these big commercial
Mm,
companies, and throughout that, we kind of both learned how we would like to work, and as Roman was saying, like to work on that eye level, because I really I always feel like this power play that sometimes happens between creatives, like directors and producers, is such a waste of time and energy. And it's just like, okay, just be honest and just focus, put all your energy into the creative work. And basically, this is also like one of our like groundstones, or our philosophies, that we keep up until that day, is to always ask, the filmmaker or the project, basically, what is your need? What is it
mm.
that you need, and not to ask, to put our infrastructure over a project, but more to, move our infrastructure and ask, how can we serve this project or that filmmaker? And yeah, and at one when we produced Maren's second film, we met Jonas Dornbach and really enjoyed this collaboration so much that we asked him to join us, especially also as Maren was working more and more only as a director, and I really love to have that ping pong partner. I'm
Mm,
much better and faster, and actually, it's also much more fun, than working all alone on this project. And so, this is something that I'm super proud of. That after all these years, the three of us, we really still get along so well, and we are friends, and we really love to work with each other. And over the years, and actually it was always Maren's films, that were kind of these milestones in our company, and we were opening up for different formats, basically. So we come from classical art house cinema, first exploring being also the international co-production work, but then also not only TV, but also to more commercial films, because we really love, well-made, big entertaining films that reach for a big audience.
yeah.
So we also really dived into that division. And by now we are 20 people working at Komplizen. And we work on something like 25 to 30 projects at the moment.
Whoa.
And so, which is a lot, but it's a lot of fun, like in all different stages, like development, but also pre-production, production, post-production, and I'm really happy about this range of formats, and and we. I think we really stand for quality. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what we do.
Yeah.
We
Big or
really,
small or whatever it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So we work on small films like debuts. We will also work on big international, more expensive film, but it's we really, with every project, we really want to squeeze the lemon until the last drop,
Yeah.
and really get the most out of it. Yeah.
Janine, that's really interesting because I was talking to Jonas and Valeska about making Dreamed Adventure, which is obviously a very unique film. And like you're saying, adapting to what that film needs. I mean, she spent years developing, going to Bulgaria for research trips, and that's not going to be a Friday night at the multiplex with your popcorn type film. So yeah, interesting to hear that you can do all kinds of films. Let's get into the German industry because from the outside, it looks like you've got really stable funding. Lots of the regional funders, national, the FFA. It is the year of our Lord Sandra Hüller, as we know internationally, and of course, 10 years since Tony Erdmann with Komplizen. So yeah, we see a sort of rosy picture from the outside mostly, but I'm wondering what it's like inside Germany when you're trying to produce films. Roman, let's start with you. What do you see as sort of the challenges? And we can also talk about the good things if you want as well. We're not just trying to be negative here, but yeah, what are some challenges and that you see with maybe with funding, with distribution, with audiences? What's it actually like in Germany right now?
Well, Germany is in a big transition process in every aspect, not only in the automotive industries, but also in our industries. On one hand, I would like to point out that, like Janine, working with companies from around the globe, very often in situations that are so dire and difficult and still trying to make things happen, you feel how privileged you are where we are right now, and also with what we have.
Yeah. Thank you for the backdrop. Yeah, that's
We,
important to
we
mention.
need to
Yeah.
say that, and we need
Yeah.
to remind ourselves of that as well, because we Germans, can sometimes be a bit of whiners. We like to complain. That's a national hobby. I know the Brits claim to be that as well. We are all masters of that. But we shouldn't do that. We should see the joy in what we are still allowed to do. But of course, we need to fight that this stays that way and also adjusts to the ever-changing times. And there, Germany is sometimes too slow. in adapting to changes. And I think Janine can give you an insight in that, because Janine is working directly in film politics here, extremely successful. We, for example, Gerard and we also run the Atelier Ludwigsburg Paris, which is a training program for young professionals from Europe and around the world, along Ludwigsburg Film Academy, La Femis in Paris, and also the NFTS in London. So for that, we need to fight that, post-grad education stays there, that in-person education still remains, that it's not all digital, that this business is also about meeting people. And we need to fight also for the possibility of the coincidence, because nothing is more coincidental like a film festival where you meet people and they start to talk to you about ideas. You have ideas when you meet certain people, when you see certain films, when you see, oh my God, this music was amazing. We would love to work with this composer. He or she could fit into our next project. And this, we need to fight to keep that. And of course, we need to fight to keep production funding going, because films getting cheaper and cheaper because of AI, that is a very, very short-sighted idea.
Yeah. And yeah, Janine, you'll be involved, like Roman says, very closely with this, with your role at the Producers Association. And yeah, how are you seeing just the health of Germany and what you do need to fight for?
Yeah, I mean, I think, or I know that we have as you were saying, a very stable funding system with strong regional funds. And the FFA went under a transition in the last, or this transition is still undergoing, more from a to an automatic film fund. So where a success either way in audience or in awards or festival is being awarded, basically. So for each festival or for each audience member, you would get a point, basically. And for competition in Cannes, you get whatever 100,000. I don't know. It's just an
Yeah.
example. I don't know the point system by heart, but or if you get a nomination for the German Film Award or the European Film Award or whatever, you get certain points, which and every year they have to find out the worth of that point. Our goal is always to have €1 per point to get a stable system, basically, but so that cultural films as well as also commercial successful films are being awarded, basically, or rewarded, so that the producer is free in his choice to decide in which project he will invest that money. It can be development, it can be production. So you have a variety there in how you want to spend that money, basically. And we are in year 1, basically, after that transition. So we will have to find out, maybe like in 1 or 2 years, is it working the way that we wanted it to work? And yeah, so this is something that we will have to observe, basically, if it's serving the right purposes. And then, of course, we had something that we were fighting for. To have that automatic support, some have tax credits. We have our DFFF on the film side and the GMPF on the TV series side. We were fighting a lot for a raise of percentage, which we managed. And now it's 30% automatic support, which is a big help in financing. But now also we will have new rules applying, and we are in close contact with a federal ministry, on which makes sense and which doesn't make sense, or to understand each other's needs, basically. And we also were fighting for a long, long time for the investment obligation, which is now coming. So both will be implemented on January 1st of the next year, if everything goes according to the plans. And of course, these numbers that were reached now in the investment obligation is not what we have dreamed of, because we were always leaning towards France, that in our side has one of the best systems, in Europe.
The French system we all want. Yeah.
Exactly. So now we are not at 20 to 25%. Now we are in Germany at 8 to 12%. Which is a start, let's say it that way. But it is a good start, and we're super happy that the Minister of Culture finally really saw that this really is the wish of the big part of the industry, and to have this re-evolving, to have this system like, okay, if you are earning a lot of money in Germany, you should give something back to the local industry, as something that I find is very, very solidaric and very easy to understand, basically. So we are very happy that this is happening. But as Roman was saying, it was years, it was a lot of work. So we are happy that we're finally there, and still, having this fine tuning on the last regulations and the last things to improve, and it is, I mean, what we, I think, can see all over the world, or even especially in Europe maybe, that it's, I mean, films are getting more expensive, budget reduction by AI has not happened yet, so, but we have, rising wages, we have rising energy prices, everything is getting more expensive, but the budgets don't raise, so we are kind of stuck, so we're squeezing out every budget, every film, and eventually squeezing our margin, on our, which is even small, but, in order to get good films made. And we see that public television is cutting back a lot. So we're losing our financing partners, and after Corona, I think this is something which happened basically all over the world. Also the MGs of distributors, have, they're like, this middle part has kind of, fallen away, so there, either way you have this one project that everyone wants, or it's nearly impossible, to raise that kind of financing. So it's getting harder and harder. And also, there was a time like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, where, all the streamers were coming to the German market, and there was like full employment, so it was a crazy time, but that's not happening anymore. So there's a lot of transition, of people going back to film. And so we see that the film funds, also the regional, but also the national, are, have to deal with a lot of projects. It's nearly double as much as like 3 years ago. So so that's a kind of a challenge also for the film funds, because then you would get one fund, but the other one not, or they're cutting you so much, where you are in a situation like, okay, how can we make that film? So these are challenges that we're facing right now.
It's fascinating. But yeah, it does sound like surely a time of transition. And I'm at least glad to hear that there's people who aren't doing streamer projects or can't get the public broadcasting money or whatever are coming back to film. Because in other parts of the world, I think we're hearing they're just leaving the business. So at least maybe they're trying for the funding to keep making films. As I mentioned, you're both really active co-producers as well. And one of the talks I did here in Munich was about the Minitract or Minitrata, depending on who you talk to. Trete. And this is a sort of a bilateral funding pot of money from France and Germany. But Germany, I think, is known as a good co-producer. And Roman, do you think it is? You're doing a lot of co-productions, and Is it a sort of a great place for co-production, or are there complications with co-producing with Germany now, or it's smooth sailing?
Smooth sailing, it has
Good.
never been and never will be.
Oh,
So also not at the moment, but rough seas, at least you can sail them. And I think there are really good companies over here and excellent staff, and also still good financing tools for co-production. Our main partner for co-productions is, I think, also for Komplizen, is France. That's the country that we have cooperated the most with. You know, and there are also always new partners coming up. For example, with Minotaur was the first time we worked with CG Cinéma, Charles Gilibert, and MK2, for example. We had been working with MK2 before as world sales company,
sales, yeah.
but not in production.
Okay.
Oh, and then, of course, we had many projects with Ouécourt, who are also part of the creatives.
Yes, we're gonna talk about that in a
Yes.
minute, of course, yeah. I love
So
Howie.
the German-French relationships are essential, I think, to co-producing inside Europe and with the rest of the world. Um, we're fighting for keeping this at least in the state as it is. Of course, making it stronger. There's now also an international co-production fund by FFR. BKM, I think, where minority co-productions are being funded by on the federal level in Germany. That is new. It's not that big yet, but as Janine said, it's a start. Okay, there are 2 meetings a year. You also have the mini traité, with which you can also fund international projects. So this is all great. I think we have wonderful crew and also cast, not only Sandra Hüller, because Germany is still so strong in theater. We have wonderful actors. They are beautifully trained and they do crazy stuff still on stage. I originally come from theater, and I always loved the spirit of German theater, trying things out, going totally wrong, but, just bulldozing on into the future. And I would always hope that this also spills over for our filmmaking. But I would definitely say we still are a good and important partner for co-production. We have the right people for that. We still have financing tools for that. Also, Germany is quite tolerant. You do not have to bring necessarily, if the project doesn't allow it, German actors to the screen or force, the language onto it. There, Germany is really open,
Sort of
actually.
open-minded about what a co-production can
Open-minded.
be,
I mean,
yeah.
you need to have good arguments. You cannot
Yeah.
come with whatever. And people really dislike productions that come, oh, we just take your technical stuff. We take some cameras and, some equipment, and
Home of Ari, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's never been that popular.
Yeah.
It should be real co-productions.
A real creative reason to
There should be an
co-produce.
idea.
Yeah.
And we definitely have the people and the tools for that.
Yeah. Yeah, what about you, Janine? You do a lot of co-production. You won the Euromage
Yeah.
Co-production Award.
Yeah. No, I mean, we love to work with our colleagues, from all over the world, and to support the visions of these great filmmakers. To also to have the possibility to work with amazing people, from all over the world, and it's really like a joint support system. Like many times we need a minority co-producer from France or from Norway or from wherever. This is like for example how we met Maria Eckerhoft, who actually
Oh,
asked us
Mayor
to
film.
join
Yes.
to join Sentimental Value, is because we asked her to be a minority co-producer on one of our previous films. And then she asked us now back, will you be the minority co-producer on Sentimental Value, which was a great journey, of course,
Yes.
and a pleasure, like a pure pleasure to work on that film. And so we there's these, it's a small world of these international co-production, and there are a few rules and that you should follow. But I think the most important one is like treat the other person the way you want to be treated, and to work on a respect level and to have that awareness that the needs of the other country can be different than yours. The needs, like in financing, there might be different rules, or there can be different normals. Like my normal is not maybe the normal of a French producer or of a Belgian producer or whatever. So and I think that's important. And yeah, I mean, I think, there were times where Germany was even more attractive as a co-production country. I mean, there are different countries that have a bigger tax credit, like Hungary, UK, some others. But we are at 30%, but but there are a few costs that are not eligible, so it's a little bit lower than that. It's more like leaning towards 27 in reality, or 26, but it's very stable. It is very stable. And nowadays, like compared to other European countries, Germany is also not that expensive anymore, So we have we have an excellent crew. We have really fantastic post-production and studios, and people like to be here, So this is all pluses, If you ask me, of course, I wish, that we were maybe at 35%, more, and be even more attractive, and to have more TV slots available, so that we can add up other financing. But, of course, we are still very privileged that we can offer all of these financing tools to our partners.
Hmm.
And also, let's hear it for Arte, which is,
Yes. Yeah.
a lifeline for art house filmmaking across the globe.
Good shout out. The funding is guaranteed for your next one. No, just kidding. But yeah, Arte is very important, as we know, in Europe. I do want to talk about the creatives, as you said, because this is it's not really a cooperative. It's a group. Well, we talked this week about why we don't know exactly what to call it and why different words don't work in different countries for it. But it's a group of production companies that are sort of banded together but staying independent. And it's both of your companies, but also Good Chaos, Mike Goodrich in the UK. We did a talk here with Maipo from Norway that's part of it. Howe Core, you mentioned. Lemming. There's 9 in total, I believe. And just, can you tell us a little bit about why a group like this is so needed and, yeah, how it actually works? Roman, do you want to? I had you on stage,
Yeah.
here trying to explain it, so it's fresh in your mind.
Yes, we started actually in 2019, getting together a couple of the companies that are now part of it, in Paris on the initiative of Oecour, to speak about how could we join forces to become stronger, working together, cooperating towards streamers were coming in, and the landscape was changing. So we all share the philosophy that working with your elbows, that does not really bring you very much, especially not these days. We rather use our hands and, hold them. That makes us stronger. And at the same time, we are all very strong individuals, and our companies have their own character. It's a people's business. We all come with a strong taste, I think, but also with fair business practices. And we share also the same cinematic DNA, the same values, what we would like to bring on screen. How that looks in the end, that is, of course, extremely different from each other.
Hmm.
But this is how it started. And during the pandemic, we met every Monday at 5 p.m., and we still do, actually. And we brought in friend companies
Yeah.
to
Maybe people
join
you had already co-produced with, or you knew their
you had already
reputation.
co-produced
Yeah.
with, there are two companies from France, for example, Unité and Oecourt. There are two companies from Germany. There's Komplizen, there's Razor. So it was a great way, to stay in touch with each other, to see, oh, how do you get through? What could we do? How could we join forces? Towards the end of the pandemic, we met the first time in person on the Rhine. That was also very telling, where there was war in the 19th century and in the 20th century, of course. We now met all from all these different countries, and then we started Creative Connection, which was twice EU and ourselves supported development scheme for writers and producers to develop series in workshop-like situations. And right now we are working on formalizing what we from the German side like to call a collective. I
A
think
collective.
Brits get scared of that word because they see the Soviet Union coming back. In German, it sounds actually
Nice.
nicer
Okay.
and fairer. On formalizing that to step into the future together, stronger, and still as individuals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good explanation. Yeah, Janine.
I mean, I think all the 9 companies face very similar challenges, basically. And we have all been approached by bigger companies,
Yes. Those sort
and
of Media One-esque companies, not just Media One, but yeah, these conglomerates that are sort of building groups of smaller production companies. And you all decided you wanted to not do that for now.
yeah. Yes, so we are all still very independent companies, and we were all wondering at some point, does it make sense to become part of a group or not? But we all have these independent genes really deep inside of us, and we we at Komplizen, we were really going back and forth and making lists with advantages, disadvantages, should we do it? For which reason should we do it? And of course, there are so many plus sides on becoming a group, but and then we were approached by Oecourt, who really had that idea, and that was, a great idea because we are friends. We have been working together. We have the same experiences, and we really respect each other. We are facing the same challenges, and we are really here to help and support each other, and not to tell anybody else what to do. Basically, so it's a huge respect and trust that we have built over the years, and it started more like an exchange thing, on a creative level, but also on a business level, like and also to share that knowledge with each other. And now there will be something to be announced in the future. We're working on formalizing it, and to really unite our forces. And I think together we will be stronger, but also much more worth, basically, if we join forces. And we are plan on working together, but not only exclusively, we work with a lot of French companies. We love to work with Oecourt on Unity, of course, but we also work with a lot of different companies.
Yeah.
So to have that freedom in the choice
Mm.
of partners, was something that always was super essential as well to us.
Good.
And we're
And I
super happy that Romain Bessy joined as a CEO, who helped building Noon, but also the Studio Canal Group. And I was super happy to have his expertise in all of that.
Yeah, that's the one good step towards that formalization that you're going to start talking. We'll watch this space. Mike Goodrich is always dangling a carrot. We're going to announce something new soon with the creatives. We'll keep listening, but it's a really unique collaboration, and yeah,
Yes.
good luck. I'm
It's
going to change topics sort of wildly, but Roman, I wanted to ask you what it was like launching Identity here at Munich and their new German cinema program, because I'll try to summarize the film quite quickly. I hope I do it justice, but it's sort of a looking at cancel culture and who's allowed to say what, and it's about I'm maybe not spoiling the whole thing, but it's set at a university where it's discovered that somebody may have been lying about their background or pretending or something like that, and very topical. But it's also a film that I found formally very interesting because there's singing and dancing and there's a rapper starring in it, and it's quite a fresh voice. And why was something Razor wanted to get involved in, and how did the launch go?
Well, yeah, as Screen called it, a zesty, zeitgeisty reckoning with cultural appropriation.
Oh, get that on the t-shirt. Yeah.
As usual, it took some years to develop it properly and to cast it properly, but it was a huge joy. It was the most diverse German team we ever assembled. People all brought their personal stories, and for us, it was also an artistic rethinking of what is Germany today. Look at the German team. We are the biggest. I heard that somewhere, that Germany took Mitu Sanya, the writer of the novel, said that Germany has the highest percentage of people coming in from the outside and forming a new Germany, which is fantastic, which has so many chances for the future. We should definitely see that with open eyes, and we have to redefine who we are, who is German.
Good. So some exciting times for, German society and German film. A big thanks to Roman and Janine for that smart conversation about what's really happening in German film industry right now as they see it. I should also say a big thank you to Filmfest Munich. It's a really great festival. It's a really important festival for the German film industry and for internationals as well. They've had a Nordic co-production focus this year, which is one reason that I'm here, and hopefully we'll see some Nordic German co-pros born out of this week's meetings here in Munich. And thanks to the whole team at Screen who makes this podcast possible, especially our producer Ellie Kalnin, our head of digital Orlando Parfit, and most of all, thank you for listening. We really appreciate you tuning in, and join us again next Thursday. Thanks.